It's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Do remember, if you like any of the products I show you today, they are available to purchase from my website, and you can link straight to my online store below, or pop over to my website and click on one of the images of the items that I will be using. I'm using the Very Versailles stamp set, which is in the annual catalogue. I did a spotlight technique video on this a few weeks ago, which was very popular, and I thought I would use it again. Now, I've made this one and I'm not 100% happy with it, so I'm going to make it again slightly differently. Very slightly differently, but slightly differently. I'm going to start by grabbing a piece of scrap paper, and it's the piece of scrap paper I've been using for a while because it's still usable. Now, all of the dimensions are on my website, which is linked immediately below. It's called the Associated Blog Post. If you click on that link, you will go straight to the post for this video. So you can see all the dimensions there, and it's for the dimensions deal with both International A4, both in metric and in inches. For those of us who are imperial still, I like my imperial measurements. Feet and inches is what I was brought up with, and that's kind of what I know. I understand it, I think is what I'm trying to say. So International A4, both in metric measurements and imperial measurements, and then North American letter size, which is 8.5 by 11. I've got dimensions that will work for you as well, and those are just in inches because I understand that's what you use. There are 2 ink pads and 2 different colours of cardstock plus the foil. So my stamping piece, which is the smaller of the 2 measurements that I'm using, I've mounted up the leaves, so they are ready to go, and this is on an eye block, and I'm using soft suede ink, and all I'm going to do is stamp not quite as far down as I did the first time, basically. Or about the same actually, as it turns out, but hey ho, there we go. There's the main bit that I'm going to be changing isn't this, so I'm stamping both sides and the middle, but the middle I'm doing shorter, and I'm not going to succeed fully, but I'm trying to put the leaves in the gaps. There's a few little overlaps, but nothing too much. Now that's the kind of easy stamping. The not so easy stamping is with this stamp here. So I've used this one. I'm not using the script. It's beautiful, but I'm not using that for this. I am using that, and I am using thank you. But there's always thinking of you and have a beautiful day as well. But I'm not using those. Now this is the bit that's kind of harder. Tricky, I think is the word, because I want to join my lines up. I'm coming slightly further up the card on this one from the original. So that's one, and this is where anyone who watches Dina Rico over in the US will say, this is where you stick your butt out. So you need to try and line up, and the easiest way to do that is to stick your butt out. It's not perfect, but it's fine because we're going to cover some of it up, so it'll be fine. Okay, so that's that bit. I've then got a scrap of paper, and on this I am going to stamp in Versailles ink the filigree bit that goes in the middle, which is the sort of this is going to be a pun, the very Versailles bit. So embossing powder. Don't need this again for a while, so let's close that. Versailles ink, and this is lovely sticky ink. Always use your embossing buddy for, did I say powder? I meant buddy. Always use your embossing buddy if you're using embossing powder, because it takes the static off the card. I did a Top Tip Tuesday recently and included why you want to use an embossing buddy. with some fairly dramatic results. So dabble this in, I'm using the copper embossing powder, and I try to tap off as well, particularly with this because it's very detailed. You don't want to overload your image, so you do want to tap off any excess. Then grab your trusty cheese board, if you're me, and there is actually, I can see somewhere, I've got a, there we are, paintbrush, I can see there's a piece there that I don't want. So just with a dry, quite a good quality dry paintbrush, you can brush away any bits you don't want. Then heat up your heat gun, which I will do under my desk, and then I'm sorry if you're worried about the noise, turn it down now. And then we can watch the magic happen. Oh, I love this. So as the powder melts, just move your heat tool. Once it starts going, it goes fairly quickly. There we go. So you do lose a little bit of the definition by heat embossing it, but I just think that looks so opulent. It is very Versailles. I was rather a fan of the TV series that was on recently. Okay, I've got Thank You, and again I'm going to ink that up in soft suede, and this is where you really have to have the courage of your convictions and line it up and stamp, and if you get it right, it fits. Now if you're worried about that, you can use your Stamparatus to help you line it up, so do bear that in mind if you're a little not quite sure. Now I've got one of the layering oval dies, and I'm just going to die cut this out, so bear with me while I throw that through my die cutting machine. It's only an oval, it's not exciting. And there we go. Right, we don't need the scrap anymore. So that is our filigree piece cut. I've also got to finish my card off, don't need those bits, so let's get rid of them. So I've got my stamped piece, I've got a piece of copper foil, which I have die cut the layering, the scalloped oval from the middle, because otherwise we're wasting that, so let's waste not, want not. And then I've got a piece of early espresso card, because on the very vanilla the soft suede goes a bit darker, so it kind of goes better with the early espresso. So I'm going to start by trying to see my snail, there we are, by layering the stamped piece onto the foil, just with some snail. You can use wet adhesive, but it does take a while to dry, so with the video, takes a while to dry on the foil, so with the video we don't really want to watch glue dry. So that's that. Let's fold our card base while we're thinking about card and burnish. So this will then go on the card base, and again, whoops, the back of foil is a little temperamental with snail, but if you go slowly, unlike when I was doing this bit where I went too fast, if you go slowly you do get quite a reasonable coverage. Again, you can use multi-purpose liquid adhesive, but for the sake of speed I'm just using the snail, and then press from the back. This again, you can use liquid adhesive, I'm going to use snail for speed, and just pop that onto the scalloped piece. Grab some dimensionals. Ooh, don't need 5, just need 4. Make sure those are pressed down, remove the backings, which we can see because we've drawn a line through them. course, with the new black ones, you don't need to draw the line if you're using the black ones, because they're obviously going to be black or covered. Get rid of our little bits, pick that up and pop this in the middle of our card, covering up the bit of mistake in the middle. And that, I know which one I prefer. Which one do you prefer? I would love to hear what you think. But I think it's a really lovely stamp set. I think it's going to be one of the ones that is not used enough. But yeah, it's just pretty useful. You could use it for men's cards as well as women's cards. So many occasions. Change out the sentiments, and I think you've got a winner. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, if you hit the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner and then hit the notification bell, you will know when I go live. If you want to sign up to my newsletter, you can do that over on my website, which is linked below. And also on that website, you will find the dimensions that I've mentioned. You'll also find a list of all the products I've used below and on my website, and of course some close-up photographs. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Do remember, if you shop with me, use the hostess code and then you get free product. And don't forget extra promotion. It runs out soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.